The patriarch of one of America's most beloved reality TV families has passed away, and his final words will absolutely move you to tears. Phil Robertson, the 79-year-old Duck Dynasty star who transformed from a wild partying football player into a devoted man of faith, died on Sunday after a courageous battle with Alzheimer's disease. But what happened in his final moments, and the incredible legacy he leaves behind, is a story that will restore your faith in the power of transformation. Before we dive into this emotional tribute, if Phil Robertson's story has ever inspired you, hit that like button and subscribe, because we're about to explore how one man's complete life transformation touched millions of lives around the world. Phil Robertson wasn't always the bearded, Bible-quoting patriarch we came to know and love on Duck Dynasty. In fact, his early life was marked by alcohol abuse, reckless behavior, and a lifestyle that nearly destroyed his family. He was a talented football player who had opportunities ahead of him, but his demons were threatening to consume everything he held dear. His wife Kay and their young children lived in fear of his unpredictable behavior, and it seemed like Phil was destined for a tragic ending. But then something miraculous happened that would change not just Phil's life, but the lives of countless others who would hear his story decades later. Phil found Jesus Christ, and his transformation was so complete, so radical, that it became the foundation for everything that followed. He went from being a man his family feared to being the spiritual anchor that held them together through every storm. This transformation wasn't just personal, it became the driving force behind the Duck Commander business empire that would eventually make the Robertson family household names. Phil's newfound faith gave him the discipline and vision to build something lasting, something that would provide for his family and create opportunities he never could have imagined during his darkest days. When Duck Dynasty premiered on A&E in 2012, audiences were immediately drawn to Phil's uncompromising authenticity. He wasn't trying to be anyone other than exactly who he was, a man who had found redemption and wasn't afraid to share it with the world. His simple wisdom, delivered with that distinctive Louisiana drawl, resonated with millions of viewers who were hungry for genuine faith and family values in a world that often seemed to have lost both. Phil never let fame change him. While his family became millionaires and celebrities, Phil continued living in the same modest home he'd always called home. He refused to get a cell phone or computer, preferring face-to-face conversations and simple living. This wasn't an act. For the cameras, this was who Phil Robertson truly was, a man who understood that real wealth wasn't measured in dollars, but in relationships and spiritual fulfillment. Throughout the show's successful run, Phil used every opportunity to share his faith story. He talked openly about his past struggles, his transformation through Christ, and his unwavering belief in the power of redemption. Critics sometimes dismissed him as old-fashioned or too outspoken about his beliefs, but Phil never wavered. He knew he had a platform, and he was determined to use it for something greater than entertainment. As the years passed, Phil's role evolved from reality TV star to beloved grandfather figure for millions of fans. His grandchildren, including social media personality Sadie Robertson, often spoke about the profound impact he had on their lives. Phil taught them that success meant nothing without character, that fame was temporary but faith was eternal, and that the most important legacy anyone could leave was the example of a life well lived. But even legends faced their final battles, and Phil's came in the form of Alzheimer's disease. The diagnosis was revealed publicly in December 2024 during a family podcast, with his son Jace explaining that Phil was in the early stages of the illness. For a man whose sharp wit and spiritual wisdom had been his trademark, this diagnosis represented a heartbreaking challenge. The family was transparent about Phil's declining health, with Jace sharing updates on their podcast about how the disease was progressing. Phil, who had always been the strong patriarch everyone turned to for guidance, was now the one who needed care and comfort. But even in his illness, Phil's faith remained unshaken, and his family rallied around him with the same love and devotion he had always shown them. As Phil's condition worsened, his family prepared for the inevitable, while cherishing every moment they had left with the man who had shaped their lives so profoundly. They knew that Phil wasn't afraid of death. His faith had long ago settled that question for him. He'd spent decades telling anyone who would listen about the hope found in Jesus Christ, and now he was about to experience that hope in its fullness. On Sunday, May 25, 2025, Phil Robertson peacefully passed away, surrounded by the family. He loved more than life itself. His son Jays took to social media to share the news, writing that his father had gone to be with the Lord and that while he would be missed, the family found comfort knowing he was in good hands. The outpouring of love and support from fans around the world was immediate and overwhelming. But it was Phil's granddaughter Sadie who shared perhaps the most moving tribute of all, revealing some of her grandfather's final words that perfectly captured the spirit of the man who had touched so many lives. As she sat with him in his final days, Phil looked at her and said, "Full strength ahead, even facing death." Phil Robertson was encouraging others to live boldly and move forward with courage. Those 3 words, full strength ahead, encapsulate everything Phil Robertson stood for throughout his remarkable life. When he was drowning in alcohol and self-destruction, he could have given up, but instead, he found the strength to change. When he was building his business, he moved full strength ahead with determination and faith. When he was given a platform on television, he used it full strength ahead to share his message of hope and redemption. Sadie's tribute continued with reflections on her grandfather's incredible impact, noting how he lived in a simple home in the middle of nowhere with no modern technology, yet his life touched millions of people with the message of Jesus Christ. She compared him to the heroes of the Bible, saying that few people lived with the end goal in mind as much as Phil did, and few chose to spend their lives telling everyone they met about the hope they had found. The Robertson family announced that while they would hold a private service for immediate family, they were planning a public celebration of Phil's life so that all the people he had touched over the years could come together to honor his memory. This speaks to the incredible reach of Phil's influence. From a small town in Louisiana, his message of transformation and hope spread to every corner of the country and beyond. Phil Robertson's story is ultimately about the power of second chances and the incredible impact one transformed life can have on the world. He could have remained trapped in his destructive patterns, becoming another cautionary tale of wasted potential. Instead, he chose redemption, and that choice didn't just save his own life. It created a legacy that will continue inspiring people for generations to come. In a world that often seems divided and hopeless, Phil Robertson's life reminds us that real change is possible, that authentic faith still matters, and that the simple truths of love, family, and spiritual purpose remain the foundation of a meaningful existence. He proved that you don't need to be perfect to make a difference. You just need to be honest about your struggles and willing to share the hope you found. As we say goodbye to this remarkable man, we can take comfort in knowing that Phil Robertson lived exactly the way he wanted to live and died exactly the way he wanted to die, surrounded by love, secure in his faith, and confident in the legacy he was leaving behind. His final words to his granddaughter weren't words of defeat or resignation, but words of encouragement and strength. Full strength ahead. That's how Phil Robertson lived his entire transformed life. Full strength ahead. And that's the challenge he leaves for all of us. Whatever struggles we're facing, whatever obstacles stand in our way, whatever dreams we're pursuing, we can honor Phil's memory by moving forward with the same courage, faith, and determination that defined his incredible journey from broken man to beloved patriarch. Phil Robertson may be gone from this earth, but his message lives on in every life he touched, every family he inspired, and every person who heard his story and decided that they too could change their life and make a difference in the world. That's a legacy worth celebrating, and that's why Phil Robertson will never truly be forgotten. If this tribute to Phil Robertson moved you, please hit that like button and share this video with someone who needs to hear this message of hope and transformation. Subscribe for more inspiring content, and remember Phil's final words as you face whatever challenges lie ahead. Full strength ahead.